All right. Well, today I wanted to talk about why I avoid going to workplace happy hours. Happy hours are a tradition in the corporate world. For some reason, Americans particularly love them, and it's like baked into the culture of corporate America. People will grind all day long for 8 to 10 hours through endless software problems, workplace politics, dealing with ridiculous clients, all to head to the bar to pound a few beers and to take the pain away from their wage-slaving existence. Now, happy hours can actually be fun if they're with the right people on occasion, in my opinion. As an example, there was a team I was on many years back where I genuinely really enjoyed going to happy hours once a month. Everyone was really easy to get along with, there was no gossiping or bullshit. We all just genuinely enjoyed talking to each other and venting and joking about work. In those cases, I don't mind, workplace happy hours because they allowed us to kind of bond and talk about the frustrations of the job and difficult things that we had to deal with throughout the day. And I genuinely enjoyed going to these happy hours and made some good friends on this team that I still occasionally meet up with. Happy hours can also be good for making friends with someone on your team or in your department that you generally get along with and just don't have the ability to talk about other things outside of work and sports and, just general small talk that I absolutely hate. However, I also worked on a team and in a department that was like the complete opposite. There was a lot of like workplace politics. People would gossip all the time, and I just genuinely didn't really enjoy spending time with almost anyone on that team and in that department. This was a department that I had moved into, and everyone else in the department had their like tight-knit cliques. I was cordial and tried to be friendly to everyone and made at least like one good friend while I was on that team. But overall, the department felt like extremely cliquey, and it felt like high school. So when happy hours happened, I would usually like make an excuse not to go. Everything from I've got to go to the gym to I'm getting dinner with someone. And this was also a role that I just didn't genuinely enjoy. And there's nothing worse than spending 8 hours cooped up in a cubicle doing work you hate to then go hang out with the same coworkers that you see every single day that you don't like for another 2 to 3 hours, with the risk that something you say or do at the happy hour could be used against you and potentially get you fired. I've always been leery about drinking too much at happy hours or saying anything off the cusp, and you should be too, especially in corporate America. I remember I went to one of the happy hours in this particular department, and it was just like a huge waste of time. Everyone just like talked in their own little cliques, and it was clear as day that no one wanted to be there. I remember certain people, and even I, would try to start a conversation with like the broader group. And it would just get like a bunch of nods, like a head nods and maybe one laugh. And then everyone just went back to having like very dull, boring, superficial conversations about work and sports and music and Taylor Swift and all that stuff. There's nothing more agonizing than standing around having pointless, dull conversations with people in your department and standing around like you want to be there, like acting like you want to be there. And I work in a department now with a lot of older people, and it's a lot of like, I gotta take the kids to soccer practice Saturday. It's not to say that I didn't have a good conversation or two with this happy hour, but it was mostly like a lot of like, yes, oh, cool. Yeah, that bar is nice. Or, yeah, that restaurant's good. I heard that, yeah. Like, it's just a lot of like superficial small talk, and I don't hate small talk, but I just don't particularly like it. I also like hate the peer pressure aspect of going to happy hours. Someone will always come by your desk at the end of the day and ask you if you want to go to a happy hour. I mean, I guess I like appreciate the invite, but I'd just rather not go most of the time. Like 80% of the time, I don't go. And I always have like a pre-planned excuse when someone asks me now. Recently, this guy asked me on it was like 4:30 on a Tuesday. It was a freaking long day, very rough. And he asked me, he's like, "Hey man, you want to go to a happy hour? We're all heading to this bar." And I told him like right off the cusp, I was like, man, like sorry I would, but I've got dinner plans at 6. And he was like, man, you can come for a beer, you can just come for a quick drink, it'll be fun. I told him, I was like, no, my dinner plans are like a half hour away and I got to go home and get ready. And he's like, man, you're going to miss out. I'm thinking in my head, like, yeah, I'm going to miss out on a lot of small talk and Yeah, I'm really missing out there. Now, with happy hours, I'll still go every once in a while if the people going are people that I like spending time with and I need to let off some steam from the workday. Another thing is if you don't go to any happy hours, you'll start to be like subconsciously like alienated from the department, and people will think that you don't like spending time with them, you don't like them. So that's also not good either. So I'll usually go for the times that I do go. I'll usually go for 2 drinks and then, make an excuse that I need to be somewhere and then bounce. Like that's usually the happy medium. Show up, show your face, go around, talk to people, that you like, have a quick beer or two, and then, have that time constraint and then bounce within an hour. That's usually what I do now, and I think that's usually the best way to go about it. The next reason is that I look at happy hours now more than ever as wasted time that I'll never get back and money that doesn't need to be spent. And I personally would rather save my money and spend it on a trip to somewhere that I've never been, or spend it on growing a skill, or even a date with a girl that I'm interested in. Happy hours can be super expensive. Like you say that you're going to go and just have 1 beer, but it usually never ends up being the case. From my experience, you usually end up getting at least a couple beers and sometimes an appetizer or even dinner. And this adds up to sometimes like $50 to $100, depending on the bar you're going to. And from a time perspective, you have to factor in the drive to get to the place, in the hours that you spend sitting around having those, dull conversations about their kids' sports. Most happy hours that I've been to last for at least 3 hours. So it's like you grind away at your 9 to 5, and then you're at a happy hour with people you don't particularly like until 8 to 8:30, and then you have to drive back to your place to have an hour or two of free time before you go to bed. Personally, that's just not how I want to spend my time. Time is not something that you'll ever get back. I'd rather not spend my time with people that I don't genuinely enjoy being around. I'd rather spend my time either working out, creating content, playing poker, or hanging out with good friends that I actually really enjoy spending time with. And the last reason is that a lot of bad stuff can happen at happy hours. I remember I went to a happy hour in a department that I worked in about 2 years ago, and I was talking to this one girl there that was on like a different team, but she was still within my department. We ended up talking together for about like 45 minutes. And admittedly, we were flirting a bit, but overall, we kept it pretty like lighthearted. And I remember the next day, this girl on my team came up to my cube, and she was like, like said the girl's name. You guys were really hitting it off last night. And I was like, yeah, she seems cool. And then she followed up with like, yeah, I think you should ask her out. I remember then having to say like, I don't know. I'm kind of just like seeing someone. I didn't want to come out and be completely honest and say like, I don't want to date a woman that works in the same department, as I did this once before, and it can turn out to be a bit awkward if it doesn't work out. And at a happy hour, like I've noticed if you're seen talking to a girl for an extended period of time, people just like start gossiping that there's something going on between the two of you, even when there really isn't, and it's just like light flirting. And this may seem like a lighthearted joke when people are like, you and so-and-so are really hitting it off. But it can actually like really affect your career if people were to like, make up a bad rumor that you guys were hooking up on campus. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to comment down below how you feel about workplace happy hours, and feel free to subscribe. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care.